there are things known and there are things unknown. And in between are the doors of perception. And the doorways of perception are now open. All around us, there exists worlds of the seen and the unseen. In a universe of endless possibilities, we should never limit ourselves to a single perspective. For in order to hunt the shadows and become true explorers of the unknown and the unexplained, we must sometimes take a paranormal point of view.
Why, sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. The White Queen of Lewis Carroll's Alice Through the Looking Glass. Good evening out there in podcast land, ladies and gentlemen. I am your humble host, Dr. Dennis Carroll, and this is Paranormal Point of View. It's 8 o'clock at the top of the hour on the eastern seaboard of the United States of America. This is May 29th, and I want to welcome you all here to Paranormal Point of View on Hunting the Shadows YouTube podcast channel and agency. I want to welcome you all in here tonight. Hope you have all had a fantastic week. This time last weekend, I was just opening the door, I think, for my guest who came to see me last weekend. We had a blast. Absolutely. Me and Cryptid Warfare. We had a great time and looking forward to the next time we get together again. Absolutely. I don't know if the world could take it again, but we'll see. But anyway, I want to welcome all of you here tonight. We have an interesting subject ahead for you tonight. We're going to have actually 2 subjects for you. The main one we're going to be talking about tonight is mirror image. What is this thing about mirrors? Okay, that is definitely something we're going to explore tonight. And I think when we get through with this show, you might think twice about the mirrors in your home. Absolutely. And also, we are going to talk about the 4 angels supposedly imprisoned in the Euphrates River. We're going to talk about a little bit about that tonight. There's some freaky stuff going on, folks, with the Euphrates River. I've heard some very interesting audio files from there, and there is definitely something that sounds like the clanking of chains and the moaning, and they even have picked up something that sounds like something calling for help. To be turned loose or something like that. We'll talk about that some more in a little while here, but first we're gonna get mirrors out of the way. Absolutely. Let's check the board here. It's as we gather slowly in the grotto here. I want to welcome everybody in. Blue-eyed Bandits in the house. Hello, Terry. Good to have you here, Terry. We'll be praying for you definitely. And Blue-eyed Bandit has gifted 5 Hunting the Shadows podcast agency memberships, folks. All right, get them while they're hot. All right, thank you, dear. That is very kind of you. Thank you so much. God bless you. And that's 5 more memberships, some free ones. You better grab it while you can, folks. Get in here and get the free memberships, okay? Absolutely. All right, Grace. Hello, Grace. And Kyle Smith is in here. Kyle, now's a good time. If you don't have a membership, buddy, you might want to think about grabbing one there. First come, first serve, all right? But be that as it may, thank you so much for that, Blue-eyed Bandit. We appreciate that. And for some strange, bizarre reason, my feed is freezing up. I don't know. It's going to be weird stuff tonight, folks. All right, there it goes. It was froze up for a while there. What's going on with that? But anyway, I hope you all have had a great week. It's been a long week. It's been a very long month. This has been, I think, I was just thinking about it the other day, one of the longest months I do remember. And why sometimes seems like it's just, and it's not over yet. Okay, so we got a couple more days, I think, before this month's over with. But it's been a long, long month, definitely. But and an interesting one, definitely in that respect. There's reminds me of an old Chinese curse. They used to say, "May you live in interesting times." I think that is definitely in all of us is a curse that we're all kind of lingering under here, definitely. But we are living in some interesting times, that's for sure. But and I don't know, interesting is not always good. Okay, sometimes it's not good. But interesting is interesting, so you take it however that may go. But anyway, I hope you get the feeling better, Terry. We'll be definitely praying for you, and we thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for the support you've given us this month. It's been a fantastic year with the support, and want to thank you all so much for that. And of course, want to thank the people with the monetary support, and that helps pay the bills here, absolutely. And can't thank you enough. And some of you know who you are, who help out, and also just being here and supporting the channel. However you can do that, that is great. We need to. We're talking about. We're trying to talk about. We're trying to pull the hidden truth out of the shadows into the light. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And I think if you're going to support something, that's definitely something to support, without a doubt. Hello, Danette. Good to have you here. But yeah, that's what we're trying to do here. And like I said last show, that when we were together Wednesday night, I said that if you hold on to one thing in this world, you got to hold on to the truth. It's like a rudder on your ship. Without a rudder, you're just victim to the wind wherever it takes you and whatever the ocean wants to do to you. If you don't have a rudder on your ship, and our rudder is the truth, it always is. So we have to hold fast to that. Absolutely, very important. And I applaud you, people, all of you out there that support this channel. I applaud you because you are truth seekers. You are heroes of truth. You're standing up for the truth, and that makes me, that makes you people I'm happy to associate with and to know and call my friends. Absolutely. And I just want to applaud you for that tonight, and thank you for that, for having courage to stand up for the truth and stand up for what's right. You know, if you're gonna, stand, you got to stand up for something, or you'll fall for anything. And there's a lot of stuff going on out there. I was just watching a this guy. He came on who is sort of a Gnostic preacher. Now you got to watch Gnosticism. I'll have to do a show on Gnosticism sometime because it is slowly getting a big hold in the church and in the thinking of people today. Gnosticism is very dangerous, and if you're not familiar what Gnosticism is, you need to look it up. But we will get into that one night, and it's something we definitely have to talk about. Matter of fact, it may be a show that my good buddy Cryptid Warfare I may have to do in the future on Gnosticism because it is a very very dangerous thing. It is a demonic teachings and stuff coming straight out of hell, folks, and it's not good. But this guy's teaching, going around talking about reptiles that have been around, and this world has actually been taken over by reptilian aliens, and he actually goes into and it's very anti-Christian in some ways. So he goes into that. Here, I warned you about that before. We're not gonna get too deep into that tonight, but I warned you. Hello, Joe Baggy. I've warned you about that before. Be very careful because they're going to start trying to tear down what you believe. Do you not understand that? They are enemies of truth, and they're coming after what you believe. and what you know and what you've been taught your whole life. They're going to try to tear that down because they want to replace it with something that's not real, something that's not true. I've had mine burned in too. They just go back. There you go. Oh, so anyway, we've got to understand that that's what's happening in the world, and we got to be very wary of, be very careful, especially when it comes to Gnosticism. And Gnosticism has to do with a lot of those supposed banned books of the Bible. You can't believe all of them, okay? Because they were taken out of the Bible for a reason, my friends. We're going to have to do a show on this and talk about it. You need to be warned about this stuff, okay? And it needs to be clarified what's going on with that. And uh, some of these banned books may have a little information in them. I'm not saying they don't, but they're not. They were left out of the Bible for a reason, and we need to talk about that reason. And all. But tonight we're going to be talking about a different subject. We're going to be talking about mirrors, something you got in your house, something like this right here. There you go. That's me. That's weird. You got mirrors on top of mirrors on there. You see a whole lot of mirrors in that mirror, right? Okay. Um, oh yeah. When we see a mirror, we got to always look at ourselves for some weird reason. I don't know why. Like, you didn't see yourself this morning. Have you changed that drastically since this afternoon when you looked in the mirror the last time? But anyway, mirrors, we have them all over our house. We've got them everywhere. Most of you ladies have one in your pocketbook, okay? We need to talk about mirrors. What's going on with mirrors? There's a whole lot of superstition and folklore attached to mirrors. We're not getting into that tonight, okay? Because that's a whole nother ball game by itself. But we do need to talk about what the properties of mirrors are and what's going on with that. And we're going to get deep into that here shortly, and so be ready for it. And you might be thinking, you might look at your mirrors somewhat differently from now on, okay? And if you do, it's not my fault, okay? Don't blame me. But we're going to be definitely getting into that. I don't get any prettier since the last time I looked at that one. That's the way it goes with me. I keep looking in the mirror, and I keep seeing some old man in there. I don't know who it is, but anyway. There you go. Mirrors. Well, we use them every day. In a lot of ways, we don't even, we think about it, especially like the mirrors on your car, your automobile. You got a rear view mirror, you got side mirrors, they're very, very important aspects of your car, especially if you're trying to park. And, or if you think, the cops are behind you, you need to look in your rear view mirror there, okay? Whatever the situation, we use them every day and don't even think about them a lot, Mirrors are just nothing but a piece of glass with a back on it that reflects your image. Okay, breaking it down to the basics, that's what it is. Okay, but now I'm going to tell you something very strange while I hold this mirror. Something very strange about mirrors. Up until the year 1880, all mirrors before 1880, I want to discuss that with you here tonight, okay? And I know you probably don't have one in your house like that, but just hang on, okay? We'll get into that as well. But the mirrors that were made back in 1880 and on back were made different than the mirror that you have today, okay? The mirrors that you have today are most of them have an aluminum backing. That's the reflective part of the glass, behind the glass, and it's polished, okay? You got to polish it to get the image clear and everything on it, okay? Now, there are very, very ancient mirrors that were nothing but convex type bowls of metal that you could see, and your reflection was not that good like you have in the mirror today, or the mirrors that were, modern times. Now, the mirrors of 1880 and on back were different. They don't have an aluminum backing or a mercury backing. They had silver, real silver nitrate-like backing. Okay? Now, here comes the very interesting part. Up into the 1880s and afterward, mirrors changed. Okay, we're talking now about 1880 and on back. All right, this is the time, the very exact time that my grandmother was born. Okay, way back in 1880, and those mirrors that had the silver, they said something very interesting about them. Every household would do something about them every night without fail. They would cover their mirrors before bedtime. Why is that, you may ask? And that is what this story, this show is about tonight. Why? Why were they doing that? All right, and we're going to talk about that. Why were they covering the mirrors? Now, we're not talking about the old superstition about when somebody dies in the house, you cover the mirrors. We're not talking about that. Although some of these Victorian families were in mourning, that was not what that was about. Okay, now that is an old superstition, a belief that if you left the mirrors uncovered in the room where there was a dead person body, that their soul could become trapped, or their spirit would become trapped in that mirror. Okay, um, mirrors have a big deal in haunted houses. I know there's a very famous incident in the plantation in Louisiana where a ghost is supposedly seen in a mirror in the drawing room. There's another very famous incident of a supposed ghost figure seen in a mirror in England, and that mirror actually once upon a time belonged to Lewis Carroll, who they think this mirror was the inspiration for Alice Through the Looking Glass. I quoted that at the beginning of this program, okay? And if any of you missed it, let me quote that for you again. This is what the quote is. Why, sometimes I've believed in as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. The White Queen, that's from Alice Through the Looking Glass, okay? Now remember, Alice went down the rabbit hole in Alice, and the first original Alice story. Alice went down the rabbit hole, okay? And the second story, which was the sequel, Alice Went Through the Looking Glass. Well, I find this very interesting because looking glasses have a lot of stories attached to them. Let me say this about the mirror in your house. It is possible that you have a mirror, but you may also have a portal as well in your house, folks, with a mirror. Okay? Now, this is going to get real weird and freaky here, so hang on, okay? It's going to be quite a ride tonight. We're really going to take a trip on the strange train, okay? So buckle in, buckle up, buckle down, and get with it here, okay? Here we go. What if mirrors are portals? That is an interesting attribute. But let's go back to the mirrors of 1880 before we go any further, okay? The mirrors of 1880 had silver backings. What is it about silver? Now, we know that silver is considered a supernatural metal. It is considered something of an unnatural metal. Silver is considered to be a holy metal in some aspects. What do you kill a werewolf with? Silver bullets, or a silver cane, or a silver knife. According to the American Indians of the Northeast, you can destroy a Wendigo with a silver knife. Silver is a very interesting metal. It is a very, are you ready for this? Spiritual metal. Okay? You got that? It is a spiritual metal. In other words, it has spiritual attributes to it. Also, gold does as well, and iron does, okay? Now, I talked about the Banshee. The Banshee is very much like the Banshee, but the Banshee in Scotland are beautiful women. And if you encounter them in the forest, they're beautiful women dressed in white. They will ask you to come dance with them. Don't do it. The Banshee are Scottish vampires, like beings, okay? They're sort of like fairy vampires, okay? Do not mess with these gals. Underneath their dresses, they have the hooves of deer. They don't have regular human feet. They have deer feet. Okay. They are elementals, and they will drain the life out of you, and you will die. You will dance dying. You will die dancing with these gals. So, but they will not mess with you if you are on a horse. Why is that? You got an advantage on a horse because a horse has iron horseshoes. They do not like iron. And so these people back in the old days carried iron with them everywhere. They carried a piece of iron in their pocket against evil fairies and witches and vampires and other bad things out there. Iron has properties to keep away the darkness. So does silver, and so does gold. Iron is more prevalent. Iron also is used in weaponry, and that's all why it has power and strength to it. Yes, Ingrid, that's the she. The band, like as in Banshee or Banvashi, these ladies are called. They're called the Banva, Ba, like a sheep, Ba Vanshi. That's how you pronounce that. The Ba Vanshi. And you don't want to mess with these guys, okay? They're very bad. The Romanians have the same belief, but they have a different name for them. They are called the LL, the LL, LL, okay? That's how you say that. They are nothing but fairy vampire type beings. You don't want to mess with them, trust me. They're not the good fairies, okay? They're the bad people. And they lure you in to dance with them, and you can't stop dancing, and then they will drain the life out of you. You will die. Or, worst case scenario is you become one of them, whichever the case may be. But you don't want to mess with these gals, okay? Leave them alone. So anyway, iron does that, and so does silver. Silver is also supposedly you can kill vampires with silver, like a silver stake or a silver crucifix. There used to be crucifixes. Hey, John. There used to be crucifixes made, by the way, with a sharp point on the very end to use as stakes or weapons. Okay. And these things would usually be silver. Silver is considered, like I said, a spiritual thing. So here you have a mirror with a silver backing on it. Perfect ingredients for what you could possibly say are what? Portal activity stuff going on here, okay? Now, you've heard me talk about this before. You know, there are rituals, supposedly, in dark witchcraft to open these spiritual doorways, and that's what you're talking about here. That's what a portal is. It's a doorway, okay? There are rituals to do that. And some of those rituals involve mirrors, okay? Now, one of the worst demonic cases, hauntings, I have ever encountered was a man who unalived himself. He was practicing Satanism between two mirrors. What was he trying to do? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit what we could piece together of his story, okay? And it's not a good one. But he was actually trying to transcend this. He was sick and tired of living in this world. Just everything had just gone bad for him in this world. His girlfriend had left him. She hated his guts and wouldn't have anything to do. And he was down on his luck. He lost his job. He lost everything. And in 1 month, he was down and out and just about to lose his house. Okay. He was sick and tired of living in this world anymore. So he decided through witchcraft, and he was deep into Satanism. He decided, hey, maybe I can find another world. Maybe I can find another world, that I can go into and be something there or have some kind of life there. And he actually believed this now, that if you could cross two mirrors, you actually open the gateway, you open the door, and you said the right rituals, of course, that go with this. You open the door. And this is why to this day, my friends, I advise people never, ever to cross mirrors. That's not a good idea. Do not cross mirrors. I'm not going to tell you not to have a mirror in your house, but be very careful with what you do with that mirror, okay? And I'm not saying that on the cautious side. I'm not trying to spook you or scare you here. I'm not trying to be trying to be, uh, detrimental or anything, but it's a good idea to handle mirrors carefully, okay? Because not just because they can be dangerous if you break them and you get cut, of course, but there's other properties to this thing, my friends, that make it very unusual. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all, right? Remember that? Mirrors are a big thing in witchcraft and scrying. You've heard of that, where they black a mirror, they darken a mirror and scry. It is very much like a crystal ball. And also Nostradamus, although he didn't, mirrors are very expensive. He used a pan of water. And if you got a pan of water and the pan is like, aluminum or silver, it is a mirror. Basically, that's what it is. And Nostradamus used a pan of water to see things in. And that's what a crystal ball is. Okay. Let me show you I have something here for you. This is my crystal ball. Okay. Yes, I have a crystal ball. I do not go around looking in this crystal ball trying to find out what the future is. Okay. That's not what I have it for. I have this crystal ball because I was experimenting with this, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes here. I was experimenting with this thing with photography, okay? Because there are some people who believe that you can access dimensions through a crystal ball. By looking through it, you can actually maybe catch a glimpse of different dimensions. You got to be careful where you keep your crystal ball at, though. If sunlight hits it, it can actually set your house on fire. I'm not kidding you not. So you have to be very. I have to keep mine in a holder covered up because it's a very good idea to keep it covered. Because actually, if sunlight goes through it, it becomes a magnifying glass. It will set your house. No joke. It will set your house on fire. So be careful how you handle your crystal ball. And mirrors can do that too, by the way. Mirrors can do that. So be very careful how you place this stuff, okay? But I'm going to talk about those experiments a little bit that I did with the crystal ball. But that's what I was basically doing, trying to see if you could actually, using it as a convex type of an imagery thing, to see different dimensions, supposedly. I'll tell you how that turned out. But anyway, the veil's so thin right now, you didn't need a ritual for mirrors facing each other. Probably not that much blue-eyed. But they are still dangerous in that aspect. And I have actually seen film where people have supposedly seen other dimensions and other places through mirrors that did not show their image like you were looking at the mirror like we were looking at just now, but it shows you something else there. Mirrors can get real freaky. But back in 1880, when they had a silver backing on them, what was one of the things, and I have a lot of people ask me this question, can vampires really not see their reflection in mirrors? The modern mirror that we have now, they could, because like I say, they're not silver. They don't have a silver backing. Like I said before, this mirror right here has an aluminum or a mercury. Probably is such a convex. It's probably a mercury backing on this, okay? There are newer kind of mirrors that have aluminum backing, but most of them have a mercury backing, not silver anymore. The 1880 mirrors, on the other hand. So why were these people saying, and this was just something that was not in one community. This was all over the world. People would say before you go to bed, don't forget to cover your mirrors. Why was that? Was something coming through those mirrors? Was something able to come through those mirrors? Or are you able to see something that you don't want to see in those mirrors? You got to ask yourself that question. What's going on with that? Yeah. What do you do when to get rid of them properly? I have a lot of family and I don't want to need. Well, it's best to give a mirror away, supposedly. If you give a mirror away, to say a prayer over it, they say. Say, if there's any bad thing with this mirror, release it right now. I give it away or whatever. It's not a good idea to break mirrors because, for one thing, they're hard. That when you break them, that glass is hard to get rid of. Okay, so and it's very dangerous. It becomes more dangerous than just regular glass because of the way of the backing on it and all that stuff. So really, it's not a good idea to break them or throw them away. It's very dangerous to throw them in the trash can, because I would just donate. If I had some, I would donate them to a haven of rest or a home of some sort, or whatever. Uh, I wouldn't break them. I'm not talking about the supposed bad luck about it. The only bad luck I think you get from breaking a mirror is getting cut on the glass or getting some glass in your eye. Okay, I would just give them away. But it's not a good idea to throw them in the trash. If somebody wouldn't know there, they could break them and get hurt on them in the trash. Okay, so I would say the best thing to do is give them away or donate them to somebody or something if you have mirrors. But the 1880 mirrors in back, I would love to have one myself, had real silver backings. So what's going on with that? Yes, a vampire could not see himself definitely in that, because that's silver is a spiritual metal. That's what they say now. I'm not going to tell you that 100%, but that's what they say. Well, the podcast, I reckon it's still going. Everybody sees we're still good with the podcast, Jerry. Oh, okay. So anyway, the whole thing in a nutshell is those mirrors were different, but they would tell they even put this in books. When you go to bed at night, before you go to bed, don't forget to cover your mirrors. And they said they used special cloth to cover these mirrors with cloth, and if it got old or bent, fabric got rotted or anything, replace it immediately. They felt that was something very important. Why were they saying this? There's no explanation out there saying why they did it, but you got to wonder why were they so afraid of leaving a mirror open at night? Was it because it had the properties of being something like a portal? Could witches look through mirrors and see you while you were sleeping? What's going on with that? Okay. But let me tell you this. There's a big thing in witchcraft of mirrors. Like I said, like this guy who unalived himself between these two mirrors thought he was going to another place. They believe the evil beings, the evil spirits convinced him to unalive himself, thinking he was going to a better place that way, which was a lie. This is the way darkness attacks you and does things to you, okay? Don't believe anything they tell you, because they're going to try to get you in that kind of a situation, okay? But that's evidently what they probably did to this poor fellow, all right? And they had him unalive himself between two mirrors. And when I heard that, when they told me that happened, I said, oh, God, that explains a lot of things here. Because he brought something into this world through those two mirrors. Whatever it was one of the strongest and most evil things I've ever run into. And it was incredibly hard to get rid of. I didn't get rid of it. God got rid of it. I mean, I don't take credit for it. But it was very hard to deal with on our end. Definitely. It's more than anything I've ever run into. It was rough. I had to go back 4 or 5 times before this thing finally was laid to rest. Okay? It was bad. What in God's name did he, or Satan's name, did he bring through that mirror? Those two mirrors that were crossed. I don't know, but whatever it was, you don't want to mess with it. Trust me, you don't want to deal with that kind of a thing. So anyway, you got to wonder why. Was it so important for them to cover the mirrors every night before bedtime? Was it dangerous to sleep in a house with the mirrors were not covered? And what about today? Now, all this stopped immediately when they started making mirrors with mercury instead of silver anymore. It stopped. Nobody said anything more about it. Nobody started covering the mirrors up and all that. It stopped in 1880. And ever since 1880, we haven't covered mirrors. What's going on with that? Was this something tied into Tartarian stuff that we know about? What was going on with this? Weird crap, man. But mirrors are that way. And I have had many reports of images of even deceased people being seen in the largest mirror you've got in your house. And guess what that is? You don't really realize it. It's your TV screen when the TV's not on. That's a mirror. Look at it. You see reflections in it, do you not? It's a mirror. Okay? And trust me, that's one where a lot of evil things come through, okay? Definitely, depending on what you watch, all right? Seriously, though, what's going on with that? And I've actually had a lot of reports how I saw my dead husband or my dead wife in my TV inside on the TV screen with the TV wasn't on. Yeah. Maybe there's a big valid reason for covering mirrors, Maybe we need to start doing that again. Maybe we need not take that for granted. That's weird. Think about it. That's something that may be an actual portal sitting in your house, more than one of them, waiting to activate. That's a scary thought. But let me tell you one more thing to think about tonight before you lay down and go to sleep, okay? It's going to make you feel real good. If you have nightmares tonight, don't blame me, okay? You'd heard me talk before about dream witches, okay? They are able to show up in your dreams. They can project themselves into your dreams. These are dream witches. These are the witches that other witches are scared of. They don't mess with them. Hey, I'm not going to mess with this witch, She's a dream witch. Dream witches are very powerful. They can project their spirit astrally. They can project their spirit self into things. They can possess sort of like objects, like they can project themselves into a mirror. Yes. They can project themselves into an animal, or they can project themselves into a person, or they can project themselves into your dreams. Freaky or what? Okay? And these are skinwalkers. And other skinwalkers are scared of these skinwalkers, okay? They don't want to mess with them. And do you blame them? But what did I just say? They can project themselves into your mirror. So tonight, take another look at your mirror when you pass by it and make sure nobody else is looking out of that mirror at you that's not supposed to be there. They say witches can do this. Every house with Wi-Fi has it mapped out, and every schedule you do. You are actually, blue-eyed, you are branded better than cattle. Trust me, you are. You're branded better than cattle. But there you go. That makes it a freaky thing to think about, that you may be sleeping the night, and you wake up during the night somewhere and take a look at that mirror. Is anybody looking back at you besides yourself? That's not a good thought. Are you alone, or are you never alone as long as you have a mirror? And I'm just talking about your reflection. That's the freaky thing. But anyway, for a long time, I studied the properties of the crystal ball type thing. The crystal itself, that if there were certain angles of the camera now I'm looking through this right now on my television, and my television is coming back through the crystal ball upside down. This is actually, I don't know if you know this or not, this is actually the way that your brain sees things with the human eye. It sees it upside down, but your brain arranges it, turns it right side up. You know that? I don't know if you knew that or not, but you did. So this is mimicking the human eyeball. That's what this glass ball does, okay? And I'm looking through it right now, and I can see myself on the TV screen upside down. I'm inverted because that's the way the brain actually, before the brain sees it, this is the way the eye actually sees it before the brain turns it around, okay? Now, if you can take a camera and shoot through this, they say, and there have been some real freaky experiments with this, folks. That's what got me interested in trying it. I tried in different angles, and I got some very weird, distorted images that should not have been there. But I can't say for sure what they were if it were not some kind of I'm not going to say illusion, but some type of a infraction of light through this glass. But some people swear that they have actually taken pictures of aliens through these things, spirits and demons through these things. Supposedly, you are able to see between dimensions. Now, let me explain something to you. Okay? You got dimensions. You got different dimensions, okay? In time and space. You've got physical dimensions and you've got spiritual dimension. Okay? You've heard me talk about this many times before. I have actually seen things go from the spiritual dimension and manifest into the physical dimension. And I've seen things manifest from the physical into the spiritual, okay? But what about the in between? What about the places in between the dimensions that are not really dimensions? They're the in between. Could you see the in between through a crystal ball? Could you see a reflection or refraction of that through the crystal ball? Because sometimes the way you hold it up, you see things that are not supposed to be there. You're seeing them in a different conflicts than from what you are seeing with the human eye. Get yourself a crystal ball and check it out. It is freaky. You don't have to see the future in the crystal ball. I'm not a gypsy. I'm not going around saying, look at here, rubbing this and trying to see what the future is. But it is fascinating. And it is a fascinating part of photography if you ever want to get into it and try it out. Because you see reflection, and there are even people that are shooting photographs through these crystal balls to do distorted imaging. You can actually buy crystal balls made for photography. Yeah, I'll kid you not. So, it's an interesting aspect of photography. So it's nothing having to do with divination and all that. It is actually part of photography. They are making night vision contacts, only hold up for the puppet there, picking up strange things. Yeah. Well, that's like with the Dyson goggles we talked about, the Dyson goggles. They supposedly started seeing demons. They were seeing between dimensions. They were seeing into a spiritual dimension. If you could see into a spiritual dimension, you would be astounded, and that has been actually talked about in the Bible. Remember that very famous thing that happened with Elisha and his guy, the guy, that said, oh, we're going to lose real bad to the Philistines. And Elisha said, God, open this man's eyes and let him see what's really happening here. And the man all of a sudden said, where are all these men coming from with these swords and chariots and everything? He didn't see that these were the unseen angels that were helping the Israelites. He was able to see into, and I've actually known people that actually see demons. They can see them. Now, most of the time, you can't see a demon, okay? Believe me, I've run into them. Sometimes they will let you see them themselves. But most of the time, they don't show you themselves. They're a spirit, okay? But they can manifest into your physical reality and look like something else. I've seen them look like little children. I've seen them look like people, animals, whatever the situation. They can do that. But it's messed up. It's never right, whatever they do, because they can't do anything right that way, because they're not God. You understand? They can't make things. They're only counterfeiting an image. Okay? It's a counterfeit of an image. But that's what they're doing. But when I have actually seen what demons really look like, but some people see them all the time. Some people have been given a gift of sight, that they can see these things. They can see the demons in people. They can see the demons in the room. They are given that for a reason. Dr. Carroll, my mom and I went into this antique warehouse years ago. This guy had a crystal ball on the counter, and he told us that the crystal ball was a curse. He said people owned it, died. He said, well, I wouldn't want to mess with that. Nobody has ever owned this but me, okay? Any kind of an object I have that's like this has never been used for occult purposes. Never have anything in your house that has been used for occult purposes. It's not a good idea, okay? Don't do that. This I got, like for photography. It's not going to be used to try to see the future. I don't do occult stuff. I don't do that. But never get an object like that and have and bring it home. Okay, and I advise you strongly not to do that. And if he'd have told me that, I said, well, that crystal ball's yours, it ain't mine, it ain't coming home with me. You can keep it. I don't need a cursed crystal ball. Okay, and neither do you. That thing should have been dealt with and destroyed. I would not keep that, no matter how old it is. Nope. But anyway, um, I have a voodoo doll back here in my room, but I don't go around practicing voodoo. I got it just to show people what he looks like and how it's used, but I do not use a voodoo doll. I'm not going to get some of your hair and put a spell on it. I don't do that stuff, okay? I don't. It's never been used to do that. I would not have one in my house that has been used. You understand? Because it has a dark demonic influence around it. You don't want that in your house, whatever it may be. I don't care if it's a Matchbox or Raggedy Ann doll or whatever the situation is. You don't want it in your house. But if anything has ever been used for occult purposes, it does something to it, okay? It does. So you don't want to mess with that. But anyway, I heard a story one time about this somebody that inherited a pentagram. Now, I want to tell you something about the pentagram, okay? The pentagram is really the star of God. I don't know if you realize this or not. It really truly began as the star of heaven, the star of God. But when you turn it upside down, it's the star of Satan, okay? Because that means it's, turned upside down, it's inverted. It means anti-God, okay? That's what that, pentagram's all about. If you want to be down to basics, that's where it originally began. So the evil guys took it and turned it upside down, just like they stole the rainbow and some other stuff like that. Satan is always stealing stuff. He's a thief, okay? But anyway, he stole God's star and turned it bad. But it's still, if you turn it upright, that star is on the flag of the United States of America, by the way, okay, folks? That's the stars of heaven, the stars of God. They're turned up straight on the flag, okay? That's why it's not a good idea to ever walk around with the flag upside down. Because if you turn the United States flag upside down, you invert the stars of God. Those are then pentagrams. That's not good, okay? So do not ever walk around with an upside down United States flag. Because look what you're doing to the stars. That is not good. 50 of them, by the way. No. That's occult junk out there, definitely. Yes, they always turn God's good stuff upside down. That's the way Satan works. So don't do that with the flag, because you're only sticking his star up there, okay? Satan's star. And all right. Ooh, turkey pot pie delivery complete, huh? All right. So anyway, that's the thing. Be careful with the mirrors and be careful with it. I'll tell you what, just my own self personally, I would not feel good sleeping under a mirror. Okay. It's just me personally. I would not want a mirror facing me while I sleep at night. I wouldn't want a mirror actually in my bedroom if I could help it. I don't have one in my bedroom, as a matter of fact. I don't see that as too. I think a mirror ought to just be in your bathroom. Let it go at that for your shaving purposes, okay? Or if you're applying makeup, if you're a lady, it needs to be in the bathroom. That's about it. I don't think the mirrors should be in all over the house, but especially when you're asleep, because when you sleep or where you sleep, you are very vulnerable spiritually, and that would, I think, kind of be opening the door for maybe some bad stuff in the future. Dr. Carroll, years ago, people took bricks from St. Valentine Massacre here. I heard those bricks destroyed lives. Why would people take those things? Because they're stupid, Terry. There's no cure for stupidity, okay? You can't fix stupid, okay? I would not want that in my house, okay? You can't fix stupid. I'm afraid you can't. But anyway, when you bring bad things into your life and into your house, especially if they are cursed objects, what do you think is going to happen? it's not going to be good. It's kind of stupid. One for us, five neighbors. Oh boy, you were busy. So anyway, watch out with the mirrors there and the crystal ball. And like I say, keep that thing covered up because I'm serious. It will set your house on fire. Mirrors, if the sun hits them right, have a potential to set your house on fire. There have been a lot of houses set on fire by mirrors and stuff. Okay, I'm serious. I kid you not. It is so be very careful with that. You stay away from cursed items. Absolutely, Alexander and Leslie. Yeah. Stay away from them. There's no good in them. Um, but stupid as whatever, Joe Baggins said. I'm afraid it is. I'm afraid it is. That's what I said that one time at a lecture that I did. Ignorance. You can't fix ignorance. Okay, ignorance is just not knowing any better. Okay, ignorance is not knowing. You can learn. Read a book and you won't be ignorant anymore. But stupid, you can't fix stupid. That's the way that goes. We need 10 more likes. All right. Blue Eyed Bandy said we need 10 more likes. We need some liking going on around here tonight. Okay. We need some heavy duty liking going on. So anyway, I'm going to turn the show now to another interesting topic that I've had some people asking me about. So I'm going to put the crystal balls and the mirrors down here for a while. And I'll let my maid worry about that, wherever she's at. She must be on another one of those drinking binges. So anyway, you can't get good help anymore. So anyway, let's talk about the four angels supposedly chained under the river Euphrates. Now I've been keeping an eye on this, folks. Okay, for quite some time now, and it's getting kind of freaky. It's starting to really get me uncomfortable here. Okay, and they are. I've heard some very interesting recordings. And honest to gosh, I can tell you, I wish I could have got them for you, but they happen to be copyrighted, so that I can't show them on YouTube. But they sound all very much like you would think chains clanking together sound. What's making these noises now? They found cities underneath the dried out sections of the Euphrates River that they didn't even know were there. Underground sunken cities with rooms and caves and all that. And they say, oh, these are just natural sounds. But I want to tell you something, my friends, okay? I've been in a lot of caves in my life. I'm not a professional spelunker, okay, or whatever you call them. I don't do that, but I've been in a lot of caves in my time, okay? I've crawled through some very freaky caves. I have never, ever heard noises like this from any cave anywhere, okay? And trust me, it is very uncomfortable to listen to. And there are moans and groaning, just like somebody in pain or something in pain. And then they've got some kind of voice, and it's not speaking language we know, but you can tell they're sort of like saying, "Help me, help me." They're imploring something, like you would say, "Help me, help me." That would be, imploring that. Weird stuff. And it really concerns me to listen to this because without a doubt, I'm a Bible believer, okay? I believe the word of God 100% down the line. Don't argue with me. God said it, that settles it, and I believe it, okay? That's the way I look at it. But without a doubt, I believe what God said. There are four angels prepared under the Euphrates River to be released in that time that will destroy a third of mankind. You know how many people that is? You're talking billions of people. Okay. I got a suspicion there are, and I'm not going to say their names, but there are certain angels named that went in and had sex with women and produced giants. There were several leaders in that group of the Watchers, I believe without doubt 4 of those watchers that you hear their names are probably those 4 angels chained up under there, because the Bible clearly says they are reserved in chains of darkness until that day. So where are they reserved at? 4 of them we know are reserved under the Euphrates River. What's left of it? The river will dry up by 2030. That's not long. It's not that far off. Man. The river will be dried up completely by then. It's almost now, but in certain places it is. I think maybe like, might have an inch of water on the ground. That's about it. If you want to be technical, it's still got about an inch of water in some places. Put it that way. Anyway, the time, without a doubt, I can tell you that tonight. And I'm not trying to, be a fearmonger, but the time is running out. The time is running out. And before those angels are released. And when those angels go out, they will destroy 1/3 of mankind. They will kill 1/3 of mankind. And then if you say, how can 4 angels do that? Remember what one angel did in one night in the camp of the Assyrian soldiers in King Hezekiah's day. Okay? They had surrounded Jerusalem with a vast army of men. We're getting ready to take that city. And Hezekiah prayed to God, said, God, I ain't got enough soldiers to do this. You got to help me here. One angel of the Lord in one night killed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in that camp. When the king of Assyria woke up next morning, he didn't have an army left. They were all dead, killed by one angel. Angels are very powerful beings because they have the power of God backing them up, and God can do anything, okay? In Iran, one entire area has only a small pond left for millions of people. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad when rivers dry up like that. And that river's been there thousands of years. And now, whether it has anything to do or not, the river winds in one place. It makes a perfect Omega symbol. Do you know what Omega is? Remember, Jesus said, I'm Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Omega is the last letter in the Greek alphabet. Alpha is the first. I am the beginning and the end. And that river has if you look at it, the way it winds, the way it winds, it has a perfect Omega symbol on it. It's weird. I don't know if that's supposed to be that way or what. I don't know what that is. But anyway, I just happened to notice that. But anyway, do I believe those angels are chained up? Absolutely. They're down there. Okay. And I believe we are hearing them. Without a doubt. This is not just some water sucking through the caves. This doesn't sound like. This sounds like actual stuff going on. I mean, actual chains being dragged around, actual groaning and moaning from vocal cords of some sort. This is not and like I said, caves don't usually make noises like that. I've never heard that. That's crazy. Of course, scientists, most of them are agnostic. They don't even know what they believe. Okay. Most of them are anti-Christian. They hate the Bible. They don't even want, did you know, I read a story not long ago. Listen to this. She was an archaeologist. She hated Christianity so much that when she found the walls of Jericho, she covered it up. She didn't want them to know that she actually found the walls of Jericho. Tried to hide it because it proved the Bible true. That's how much they hate the Bible and Christians. And if she did that, wonder how many other ones did stuff like that. That's why a lot of those giant bones disappeared. The bones of giants that they found, where are they at? They disappeared for a purpose, for a reason. They're fighting prophecy. They're fighting against this, and they're covering stuff up. Do you not understand? Your history is being covered up and being hid from you. They're not telling you the truth. So you think you're going to tell the truth about this? Do you think they're going to ever really have full disclosure on things? Don't you hold your breath and waiting on it, my friends, okay? Because you will die. It will kill you. They're never going to come out. Trust me, I know what kind of people you're dealing with here. They're good at hiding and covering stuff up and keeping secrets from you and telling you the wrong things and keeping you in the dark on it. Yeah, that's what they're good at. But anyway, that's what we're being bamboozled with. But anyway, I believe without a doubt, yes, those four angels are there. And when God gets ready for them to do what they're going to do, he's going to turn them loose. And they're going to kill a third of mankind. Coming, this is going to happen. And like we said the other day, water is going to become more precious than gold. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Water is going to be more precious than gold. You'll be trading your gold for water if you got any. If you got any gold, they raided the guy's house the other day. He had been stealing for the government. He had $40 million in gold bars in his house. Can you believe that? $40 million in gold bars. Well, I'm going to tell you, when it comes down to water, you'll trade every bit of that gold for water. Trust me, I know what you're talking about here, you know. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, giant bones went for a reason. Still kills the ritual. Fake news starts or tries to do this. Absolutely. They tell lies, they steal the truth, and they kill the real stuff. You know, that's what they're good at. And with understanding, reckon the number of the beast is the number of the man, the number is 666. That the beast is not going to be just a man, although he's not a regular human being like we are. Okay? He's the son of the devil. He's supernatural. Okay? He's the son of the devil. But it's not just him. He has a system. You understand? He's going to hold the power of the world in his hands. He's going to hold religion and economics. Religion in the left hand, economics in the right hand. He's going to have this world right where he wants it, and you're going to be in the middle. And if you resist him, if you resist and fight against his system, you will die. Period. You understand that? You'll die. There may be a resistance against him, but they will die. He is going to win in the end when it comes to his system, but God, he's going to win against man, but God is going to take care of him. Don't you understand? We can't do it. This is not our job. This is God's job. When Jesus comes back on those white horses with a sword coming out of his mouth, he's the one that's going to take care of the job, not you and me. We're going to be dead and gone. Okay, we may be coming back with him, though, on those white horses. Yeah, I want my white horse, okay? But I'm just saying, well, the Bible clearly tells you about the Antichrist. He will make war on the saints, and he will overcome them. That's what he says. I didn't make that up. So that means he's going to kill all of us. You understand that? Get ready. What is more precious, your life or your eternity? You got a choice. China skimming fresh water off the Great Lakes with huge ships there. Shouldn't surprise me a bit, Kyle. They know what's coming. They understand. A lot of people that know things, okay? And wait till you hear next week's show. Oh, boy, I got a doozy for you next week. Next Wednesday night on Hunting the Shadows, the goddess of assassins. We're going to be talking Medusa. And you do not want to meet Medusa, the real Medusa. She's a government project. Wait till you hear about this, folks. It is mind-boggling. And it's real. Medusa is real. She's real. She's alive and well and walking with us here, okay? You don't want to miss Wednesday night, Hunting the Shadows. Now, Monday, Don't forget Monday morning monsters. Okay, at 11 o'clock a.m. We're gonna be doing not deer. What are they? If they're not deer, what the heck are they? Okay. Well, we're gonna talk about that Monday. Don't miss it on Monday morning monsters. Okay. But Wednesday, I'm really looking forward to it because we're gonna really bend some minds here. And I do mean that literally, okay? We're gonna bend some minds with Medusa. Oh, she's a bad gal. You do not want to mess with Medusa. Definitely not. Um, we need Jesus to help us no other way. That's exactly right. I agree with that statement 100%, my friend. Uh, but there you go. But yes, tell your friends they want to meet Medusa too. We need to know about this. This is something. This is a weapon that is mind. I mean, it's scary. It's scary. It is scary, and I do mean scary with a capital S here. It is scary. I mean, it's. I don't know. It's amazing what man can do to man, but I guarantee you, folks, some of this stuff is definitely coming from fallen angels. Okay, it's got to be. There's no other way that this is not coming from that. Okay, and the kingdom of darkness is going full blast on this. Okay, and you need to understand what's going on in this world. This is real. This is nothing made up. This is not make believe and not science fiction. I'm bringing you the real deal here Wednesday night. You do not want to miss it. Medusa, queen of assassins. She's alive and she walks among us. And I'm going to let you cook on that till then, okay? I don't want to tell you too much more about that because I'm excited about it. It's going to be a very interesting evening. Maybe some shows have gotten I'm late. Well, Diana, that's okay. You can always go back and catch up on them a little bit. I know that kind of aggravating to do, but you can do that. But I did change the hour. I used to have the hours was 9 o'clock p.m. and people complained about that. So, I got to go to bed and all this stuff. So I changed the hours to 8, hoping that would be a more convenient. If any of you would like for me to change hours again, vote on it. Okay, your vote counts here. By the way, I have a democracy. Okay, it's a republic. By the way, actually, it's a democratic republic. Okay. You can vote here on this podcast, all right? I have tabulate your votes, and I don't call for mail-in votes. Okay, you got to be present to vote. Okay. Anyway, if you decide you don't like the hours, you can put your comments in on that. Okay, but your vote counts. Yes, it does. It should. It's supposed to. That's what your right is. But some people don't believe that. Some people want to replace you. Remember, I talked about that the other night. That's not made up. They're trying to replace you. And they're doing a darn good job at it. So your vote really does not count anymore, okay? They're shipping in people from other countries that don't belong here, that are not citizens, to vote in your place. You better get out and vote. No mail-ins. Nope. Sorry, Kyle. No mail-ins. I am not asking for ID because I know most of you, okay? But somebody had a question today. Said, what if you went to vote and ICE is there checking your thing? It would not bother me a bit. I show them every time I go vote, I show them my driver's license anyway. Okay, they don't ask for it. I show them. I'm not scared of it. I'm a citizen. Okay, I'm not. What am I worried about? It's the people that want to cheat that are worried about that kind of stuff. See, they want to cheat. So all of a sudden, we found about 2 more boxes of mail-in ballots over here. Yeah, where'd that come from? Diana says you can't be replaced. Don't say that. Don't say that. They're working on it, Diana. They're working on it. Absolutely. And if they don't replace you with somebody else, they're going to replace you with AI. Okay, there you go. There's a Diana AI. Do you know we could put Diana on YouTube and put words in her mouth, and it look just like her sitting there talking, saying we get her voice and everything. But it's and Diana would be saying, "I never said that. I never. What's going on with that?" It could be done. It's happened to people. It's already happened. Somebody said, "Hey, that's not me talking. That's not me saying that." Uh, yeah. Be very careful. What we need to do, if yeah, I'm serious. I'm not joking here. You need to start having what we call safe word with people. Say if it's really me, I'll give you this certain word, and it's really me and not AI or something or a clone or something like that. You need to do that. I'm serious. You need to get with your husband, wife, and girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the situation. Say, hey, honey, let's have a safe word together here. Okay? And if I ever ask for that safe word and you can't give it to me, it's not you. Okay? You'll know it's not you. So, okay, let's say, I'm going to give you an example. Okay? Let's say Kyle and his wife, they got a safe word. And the safe word is bamboozle. Okay? So one day Kyle's wife says, I don't believe you, Kyle, anymore. Who are you really? You give me your safe word right now. And if Kyle doesn't say bamboozle, she'll know without a doubt that ain't really Kyle. There you go. Checkmate. I make sure one in line when I am gets the ID check. There you go. Invictus means. Invictus means I'm the master of my faith. I know what Invictus means, my dear. It is a good old Latin saying, and the captain of my soul. Yep. I am me. But yeah, it's creepy stuff, man. We need to have safe words. I know it's kind of a sad thing to think about, but we need to do that. I remember there was on one episode of the original Star Trek. Captain Kirk had a safe word, and Scotty asked him for it one day. And this guy was trying to look like Kirk, trying to get back up to the Enterprise, and he couldn't give him the safe word. Smart. You got to be smart. You got to be smart. So folks, get together with somebody you can trust and have a safe word. Okay, that will know that's really, really you. Okay, and not something else. So there you go. Just to be on the safe side. I'm reading your interaction here. Voice cloning is very tricky. Yeah, but they can do it now. They get damn pat. And they did a thing the other day where Brad Pitt it comes in as um, it comes in on a ship behind the what's the View. Oh yeah, it's on the View, and he comes in as Achilles on the ship, on the Greek ship behind him. And I mean, it's amazing what AI can do, And he jumps off the ship and and he slaps Whoopi Goldberg, knocks her down. It's really funny. You need to see this. Whoever come up with this, it was funny. Brad Pitt took care of the View, folks. He really took care of them. I can't stand the View. Bunch of fat cows. What's going on with the Saxons? I don't know. There's already a patent to be after you pass away. They can come back as AI. They say the tombstones of the future will have a hologram of you on them, and you can talk to people that come up to see your grave. Hey, I'm John Smith, and I was born so and so. That's kind of creepy, That's kind of creepy there, man. Yeah, think about that. Yeah. Has his parents to open the front door. Yeah. What's going on? Blue eyed, yeah. This is no joke. And what did I say before when AI first came out? It will be weaponized, and you are seeing it done that way now. And these data centers that come in, we talked about that the other night, using these millions of gallons of water. There goes more water, okay, that you could drink. It's going to keep the AI uh, robots cool, okay? Ah, it's weird stuff, folks. But those data centers are coming up simply to put in place to control you. That's all. That's what it's all about. They're going to control the real matrix that they're putting you in. The matrix is the movie, okay? That's not real. The real matrix is the system I talked about a few minutes ago. And the man that owns that system owns the world. You got that? And you're going to be part of that. You're going to be a little cog in that system. Just a little cog. Not a big gear, but a little gear, cog, yeah. Safe words are very important. Absolutely, boo. You need to come up with one. And tell your close friends or your relatives that, hey, if you ever don't think it's me, ask for this safe word. Let them remember what it is. It's something, that you don't say every day. Something that, you know, out of the ordinary, like I said, bamboozle or something like that you don't normally say. Uh, but it will be your main safe word, okay? And they'll know it's you because you come with that same word. But I'm serious, it does not. I got into that ever since that woman told me. She said, that man I'm living with is not my husband. Said, I don't know who he is. She said he worked for the government. He went away for a couple of weeks on a business trip, come back, and he's not my husband. Said, I don't know who he is. And said, my husband, by the way, was right handed. This guy's left handed. Weird stuff. I never heard back from that poor woman. That woman was scared to death. She wasn't making that up. She was scared to death. I don't know what happened to her. I hope she come out good for her. I don't know. I worry about that. But she said that man said I'm married to him for 15 years. It's not my husband. I don't know who it is or what it is, but it's not my husband. Peter Thiel is leaving the country, huh? Again. Your nickname is a safe word. Yeah, that would be good. Why now? It might be a little bit too easy to usually come up with something, that's like maybe a Shakespeare or something. Something that would be off the grid, that nobody else could figure out real easy. You know what I'm saying? I think my safe word would be wreck havoc, my friends. So let's slip the dogs of war. That's a good Shakespeare quote. Let's slip the dogs of war. Name bears things, yeah. Why is Peter running? Blue Eye wants to know why Peter's running. Yeah. Very good vintage. 3 months ago, I believe. Peter also has a K switch he walks around with. He knows what he did. Peter's hell is a down Satan worshiping antichrist advocates slimy sweaty demon. Yep, that pretty well covers it, Joe. They say there's 11 other companies worse than Tails, huh? It wouldn't surprise me. Someone voice cloned someone's dad and asked the daughter to unlock the front door. Ah, dang. Dangerous stuff, folks. Yep, don't take it. It's what I've said for so many years now, things in this world are never what they appear to be. Trust me, it's just not that way. And as Alice said in The Looking Glass, curiouser and curiouser. That's a good safe word, by the way. There you go. Anybody wants that safe word? Curiouser and curiouser. There you go. Yeah. That is a ball and a half out there, folks. I would not want anybody to hit me with this thing, or I would definitely not want to drop this on my foot. But I have not yet seen the future in it, okay? Yeah, I wasn't looking actually. But what would a gypsy be without her crystal ball, right? I always love this community, and Dennis is telling the truth. We are the warriors of truth. Thank you, Diana. All right, for $5. Thank you. Appreciate that, dear. God bless you. All right. A good way to end the month here. Thank you. StreamYard's messing around with the comment section. I don't know what they're up to, but they're doing some freaky stuff with it. I'm gonna have to read my manual on it one day and see why they're changing stuff around. But anyway, it says on stage. Okay, so I got it up on stage. There we go. Now another thing I was trying to figure out the other day, somebody asked me what my they asked me what my PayPal thing was, right? And it will not show for some reason. There it is. Oh, that's hard to show up, but that's PayPal donation thing. If anybody wants to know about it, somebody asked me about that the other day. So I got all these things up. So if you ever, I should start using them. That's the PayPal, and then I got the. Let's see. That's my Gmail, and yeah, that's my Gmail and my website. Okay, and then that's my Cash App thing. I have a Cash App too. I do not have a Buy Me Coffee. I'm gonna have to look into that. Why is it so hard for it to come up? I don't know. I have to work on that one day. But anyway, real freaky stuff. We need to get you a Buy Me Coffee and a coffee. Yeah, okay. Yeah, send me a if you get a chance, if you don't mind, you can send me a link to that. I will check it out. Internal problem when I tried to post a certain something. Good grief, but freedom of speech. Yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you what, you talk about shadow banning and all that. We are being watched very closely. We know that without a doubt. They take so much out, I'd rather just send it in snail mail. Well, actually, if you go to when you go to YouTube, they will take a little bit out, mostly for taxes. If you go straight to like PayPal or whatever, they don't. PayPal doesn't take anything out of it. That's why that's easier that way. But what I'm saying is, this crazy thing is supposed to let me show that on the screen, but it's not doing it. I don't know why. There's a ticker right there. And then, there it is. That's showing that. Oh, that'll show that one, but it won't show anything else. I don't know why. But anyway, but it will go off after a minute. It only stays up for a few minutes and then it goes down. Okay. I know that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Blue Eye Bandy. I appreciate that. And anyway, I've heard about Buy Me Coffee. I don't know about that other one there, but we'll see. Leave online anything like donating and shopping, not allowing people to participate freely is already happening. Oh, yeah, really. Yeah. You're telling too much truth, Uncle Dennis. Yeah, that's the price that you pay. No, definitely for the truth. There's always a price to pay for that kind of stuff. And definitely. But is the price worth paying, my friend? Because, like I said at the beginning of this program, if you ain't got the truth, you ain't got nothing. You know what I mean? Rocking the world with only one worthy of worship. Who is the only one true God creation? Well, I'll tell you what. Hello, William. Good to have you here, brother. I'll tell you what. I'd rather be. That's who I endorse. I don't endorse candidates. I don't endorse political parties. I don't endorse clubs and stuff like that. That's the only one. I have only one king, and that is Jesus Christ. That's my king, and that's it. That's who I endorse. Taxes, money is all just fake for manipulation. The more you get away from it, the better. Oh yeah, but if you're not too careful, they will put you in jail for it. That's another thing. That's the way they work. I saw that in my crystal ball. But anyway, nailed it, man. Yeah, love is the glue. They want to destroy that because God is love. Well, actually, yeah. You know, I'm telling you what, though, people need to realize something. God is love and mercy. Absolutely. I agree 100%. But the day is coming when he's going to be a God of judgment. And people need to realize that. They're going to stand before judgment bar one day. Every one of us. Not just you, not me, not so and so down the line, not somebody, Mr. Smith over there. Everybody is going to come to stand before that judgment bar one day. Everybody. And they're going to open the books. And that's books with an S. That means more than one book. They're going to open the books of your life. Okay? And then they're going to open another very important book. And if your name ain't in that book, God will no longer remember you. You're gone. That's it. So I changed my tax status at work to take something out of my checks. It has changed. I tried last year and it wouldn't let me, huh? Well, we'll know this check in a week. Well, you have to do that. Really, you're going to pay taxes one way or the other, okay? People need to realize that. You're not going to get out of paying taxes. But make it easier on yourself to do it the right way. Get it taken out a little bit, every time you pay, you have a check or whatever. It's easier on you, okay? Do it. Do it. It's worth that. Worth doing if it's easier on you. AC broke down yesterday and one motor blower shot. Oh, yeah. It would wait till it got in the 90s, right? 80s, 85, and 90. That's the way it goes. I've said, it's a weird thing about it, William. Everything, have you noticed that how everything is made and developed to know exactly when the warranty runs out on it? I'm serious. This thing knows exactly when the warranty runs out on it. My warranty ran out some time ago. How about yours, William? Anyway, that's weird. That's the way it goes in this world. They got you. They got you right where they want you. They know that. They know it. Okay. They know it. That's the system. That's the Matrix, my friends, the real Matrix. The Matrix thing, that was a computer generated. That's a Hollywood movie, okay? Don't let Hollywood influence you that much. The real Matrix is the system, okay? And the system been around thousands of years. It was the Romans used it. The Greeks used it. The Egyptians used it. The Babylonians used it. The system has been here forever. Satan owns that system. He invented it. Okay? He invented it. Hello, Overbell. Good to have you here, brother. Oh, I think you were the one that asked about the PayPal thing last night. I found the switch on that. Wait a minute, let me show you. There we go. If I can get it to work. There, see, there you go, Bill. I found the thing. You were asking, I think, about that the other time. So anyway, there it is. So it does work, and then it goes off. So there you go. But anyway, it does work. But getting back to that, yeah, that's the system. Yeah. But that's uh, I think it's supposed to go off. It's been going off by itself. I hit it a couple of times. It may take a couple of times to go off something. But anyway, um, yeah, the system that's the real antichrist part of it. Okay, that's the system. He's gonna brand you like cattle. That's the way that's going. So there you go. The main topic of conversation tonight, unfortunately, you missed. You may have to go back and watch it. We were talking about mirrors that were made from 1880 on back, made with silver. They would cover them up every night before bedtime. Why were they doing that? And this was not just in Europe; it was everywhere, all over just most of the world. They would cover. There was a ritual. They covered the mirrors with heavy cloth every night before bedtime, religiously. Why were they doing that? What were they afraid of coming something? What was coming through those mirrors? Now, I'm gonna tell you this, and you got to consider this, and I'm not joking here. If there is one portal in your house, I guarantee you without doubt, it is the reflective surface known as your mirror. That's the perfect portal. Think about it. We also talked about the four angels in the Euphrates River too, by the way. And I've heard some very just this past week some very interesting recordings of moaning and growing and chains rattling underneath the Euphrates riverbed. Weird, freaky stuff. Yep. But I think you can. If I can find that out, I will try to post the link to that so everybody can listen to it. It's weird stuff, man. Weird. But like I said, I've been in a lot of caves in my life. I have never ever heard caves or tunnels make a noise like that. And then, of course, the very famous thing where they drilled that hole like 2 or 3 miles down into the Earth's core, and they put a microphone down there. It does sound like screams in hell. It's horrible to hear. It sounds like people screaming down there. It would not surprise me a bit if that's not real. And that you can hear it for about 3 or 4 seconds, and then the microphone melts. It's so intense. You need to listen to that. That will raise the hairs on the back of your neck. It sounds like what you think hell would definitely sound like. But to me, That's freaky stuff. It does not surprise me. I'm not surprised by it. No. The chain there, and that was the reason for the Gulf War. Well, that is part of prophecy. That river is going to dry up, and the kings of the east are going to march across it for Armageddon. Okay, you know that's part of the prophecy. It's got to dry up, and it's drying up, and it will be completely dry. I think they said by the year 2040 or 2030. I can't remember. I think it was then. But in just a few years, it's going to be completely dry. Oh, so anyway, that's part of the prophecy, and you see prophecy fulfilling before your very eyes. Okay, there you go. But what they're telling, what they're showing here, talking about these things in the Euphrates and that recording in hell and all that, that's it's not that far fetched that it could not be real. You know, I'm not going to say it's not a hoax. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't tell you that for sure unless I was actually there. You know, William and I have talked about this before. You can't say that a picture or a film or a sound or anything is actually authentic unless you were there. Okay? Unless you can really, really vouch for it. You know. But it would not surprise me if it's not real. I would, I would be more apt to believe it to be real than not real. You know, the cult military have taken so much, do they have debts to repay to help unchain these angels? God will unchain those angels when time comes. They are under His command. They are under what He's going to be doing, and they are fallen angels, and they're going to be released. When they are released, they're going to be mad. Okay, they're going to be very angry. They're going to go out and kill a third of mankind because this is part of the judgment of God. It's not what the angels, the fallen angels, want to do. They're part of the judgment, whether they will realize it or not. You know. Go back to the mirrors. What do you recommend? What about the Mercedes, the Hall of Mirrors? Do you have any thoughts on that? Well, the older the mirrors, the older mirrors with actual silver behind them are the ones you got to be very careful about. The newer mirrors, I'm not that concerned about because they've only got like either aluminum or mercury behind them. Now, a vampire would probably not actually see his reflection in one of the old 1880 mirrors or older, going back. But the newer mirrors, he might would see himself because it's aluminum and mercury. Silver is a spiritual metal. William knows this. Anybody that studied the occult and all that knows this. Silver is very spiritual. Iron is very spiritual. I talked about iron. You know, fairies hate iron. Okay. Uh, Witches hate iron. Uh, Gold is another metal that is very spiritual. Okay. So, any of those has properties to it that we don't know about. And if that mirror has still real silver behind it, could it possibly be a portal? I do know this, and I can tell you this, my friends, without doubt. It is a recognized power in black witchcraft to be able to utilize portals. Okay? Either to look through them or move through them or move things through them. Okay? They do it. Witches do it. Okay? That's a lot of their rituals and manifestation is to open portals, to either let things through or to go through those portals themselves. Whatever the situation. We do know this without a doubt when it comes to black witchcraft. So that's why it is not a good idea, to cross mirrors in your house. Don't do that. I would advise against it. Okay? And like I said earlier in the program, the best place for your mirror is in your bathroom. I would not sleep under one. I would not sleep under a mirror. No thanks. Gold mirrors are not recommended in our homes. Absolutely not. The 1880 and on back, no. I would not want no. Because they said the old folks were saying, don't go to bed without covering your mirror. I'm not talking about somebody dying in the house now. That's another superstition. I'm talking about they would do that every night, every single night. They would cover their mirrors. Why were they doing that? Well, they must have been a very valid reason to do that. And they said make sure the covers are thick, that you can't see through them. What were they trying to hold back? What were they trying to keep from coming through? You got to ask that question. Why? Why? They never actually said why, but you got to wonder why. And why were they doing that? But it stopped in 1880 and on up. They stopped doing it because the mirrors are not made the same anymore. See what we're saying? So the only clue you got here is that silver backing on the 1880 and earlier mirrors. Have you ever dealt with a crystal skull? I have a crystal skull in my office. It is actually a facsimile one. It's not a real crystal skull. Real crystal skulls have a they supposed to have an occult power to them. I've never messed with a real one. I do have I have to show you some night. I've got a lot of stuff in there. I have to bring out and show you something in my museum. But it's a rendering of a crystal skull. It's a paperweight on my desk, actually. It's an actual full size crystal skull. Okay, but now a real one from from the Inca or the Mayans or something like that. I don't know if I'd want that in my house because it's probably been around a lot of human sacrifices. Okay, that would be a definite cursed object that I would not want in my vicinity. Okay. And I wouldn't want to handle some. Let me tell you something about cursed objects, my friends. Don't handle them. Don't play with them. Don't do that because don't have them around. Don't keep them. Don't play with them and handle them. You're asking for some bad stuff to rub off on you here. You know what I'm saying? You're asking for the curse to rub, and curses do rub off on you. William knows this. They do rub off on you. Okay, so don't play with that kind of stuff. That's not something you don't want to play with. You don't want to mess with. Something you really best left alone. Absolutely, in my book, in my opinion, don't mess with it. But now the mirrors that we have today, this mirror has a mercury backing. This is mercury, okay, and it is polished. It's nothing but glass with a mercury back, and it's polished so that it has a better reflection. Okay, and you can do some freaky things with mirrors. You can hold. Did you know you can put something in front of you and hold it up to the mirror and see it in the mirror? It's weird. You'll try that sometime. There's some weird experiments you can do with mirrors, and I've actually shot a lot of photographs through mirrors. They're very much the mirror shooting photographs through is very much like shooting through the crystal ball. Okay, you can shoot film and photographs to it. You get weird images. Okay, and some people swear this is looking in between dimensions. Now, whether that's true or not, I've never been able to prove that for fact, but you do get some freaky looking stuff. And if it were looking in between dimensions, you got to wonder about that. So anyway, it's just a good idea to respect stuff like that. Be very careful with it. You never know. But like I said, I would not feel good sleeping under, especially cross mirror. Now, cross mirror means one mirror facing the other mirror. Mirror facing each other or mirrors at an angle to each other. You don't want to do that because that supposedly creates portals. Supposedly. And I'm not saying you might accidentally trip and fall through it and disappear forever. I'm not going to say you might do that. But what we're talking about is things coming through that mirror or things being allowed to look through that mirror from the other side. That would be freaky. Yeah, I imagine silk mirrors with the real silver on them. They're worth a lot of money. They're worth a lot more money than a regular mirror is now. I did find a store called Angel Gliding when I was looking for a way to chrome stuff. They sell stuff to silver stuff mirrors and more. Yeah, you can still you can buy. I would, like I said, if you were to have a mirror from 1880, and they wanted it in your house, I wouldn't tell you not to, but I would just say, might be a good idea to think to cover it every night just to be on the safe side, keep it covered. Uh, but it would be good to have an antique like that. I wouldn't mind having an old mirror myself like that, but I would definitely keep it covered up till I got ready to, look in it or whatever the situation was. I definitely would not sleep in the room with it. No, absolutely not. But anyway, I would mind having an old mirror that's actually got silver on the back. Cause you might come in handy with my vampire hunting kit. That would be a good asset for my vampire hunting kit. William knows about my vampire hunting kit. The cheap kit just look shooting last mirror kits, huh? $314. Whew. I remember the movies always showing when there was a death that would cover the mirrors. Yeah, that's Diana, an old superstition. They believe that the spirit might get trapped in the mirror, the spirit of the deceased person, and also for that very same reason, that's why they cover the eyes of a deceased person. Uh, they say it was not good to look into the eyes of a deceased person. It was like another kind of a mirror-like thing. It's how you could see stuff in the deceased person's eyes, like the future or the past. That's why they put the coins over the eyes too for the ferryman, and to keep the eyelids down. You look better with your eyes being open. Your eyes naturally open up when you die, and it's not like the movies. Everybody can they die, their eyes closed. No, no, no. I've seen a lot of dead bodies in my day, and they all had their eyes open, okay, unless they were in a mortuary prepared that way. Then they glue them shut in the mortuary. I don't know if you know this now. They glue the eyes shut, and they also have a thing goes up under the eye, which allows them to do that. They go up under the eyelid with a little frame-like thing that holds the eye down, keeps it shut. But I have studied a lot of mortuary techniques and what they do in mortuaries and how they prepare bodies. Most of the time, when they embalm you, it shrinks your body. Your body kind of shrivels a little bit. And so, most of the time, under the clothes, they'll have a frame under you to make you look like, your body looks regular. They don't want you to look shrunken looking. They will sometimes put a frame under your clothes. And what you got there is a frame to make it look like you got a waist and you're not sunken in and all that. Um, you need to look up some of the mortuary techniques. It's very interesting. Mortuary is a science. It really is. It is a science unto itself. It's not my cup of tea, but I've seen how they do things. I've actually worked in morgues, and I've seen what you look like after they dig you up 10 years later. Okay, it ain't pretty. And I want to tell you something. They actually rip you off in the funeral home. So you need to have if it's an in-ground burial, you need to have a vault, and all that. The water gets in and all that. I got news for you. I don't care what kind of vault they put you in. Water's going to get to you sooner or later. Okay, probably sooner. So it don't matter what they put you in. When you go on the ground, you're a food for the worms. That's what Edgar Allan Poe wrote about the conqueror worm. He wins in the end. Okay, no matter what you do, just go down that rabbit hole. Yeah, they do a lot of preparation in mortuaries and stuff and funeral homes for that, and they actually dress you up, put makeup on you a lot and all that, make you look as lifelike as possible. I think eventually in the future there won't be any more body viewing things. I don't believe they'll be viewing bodies. They're getting away from that. They're just like now having a picture of you sitting up there and they got a closed casket, That really would be the best. I wouldn't care for people come looking at me. Oh, doesn't he look real good? No, I don't look good. I'm dead. I'm not gonna look good. I'm dead. Why didn't they have to come look at you, make sure you're dead, or what? People don't need to look at you. That's ridiculous. I think eventually they're gonna stop that viewing stuff. I think eventually everybody's gonna have a closed casket ceremony, so they won't have to worry about putting makeup and all that on you. You know, they're gonna put you away. They're gonna put you away. That's it. Yeah, they have to shut the mouth closed. They have to glue the mouth. Well, there's a thing they put in the mouth for that as well. But they used to would sew the mouth, but they don't do that anymore. There's a thing that they put in the mouth, a mouthpiece that will hold the lips and all. They got it down to an art form. It is. It's amazing what they do. But like I say, I think eventually that will go away. I don't think they'll be doing that too much more in the future because a lot of people just go into a closed casket. A lot of people are getting cremated now more. So I don't believe my own personal self in cremation. I guess if you want to do that, that's fine. I don't. I mean, I guess but my own self personally, I wouldn't want to cook. But you know, my mom's with this. She's done many hairstyles no more. Oh yeah, yeah. Somebody's got to fix the hair, and all that. And a lot of those morticians are definitely not hairstylists. A lot of them are not. Maybe poke them with a stick, sharp stick. Then there you go. Yeah. But I saw a great movie about that one time, Buried Alive, and the guy that his wife poisoned him, and the poison didn't work. He come to when he come to was in some old cheap cat said, I don't. She said not to embalm him, waste no money on that. Stick him in the cheapest thing you got, okay? So that's what they did, and so he come alive in there, and he had to claw his way. Great movie, by the way. Had to claw his way back out, and I think his dog actually helped dig him up too. And he got out and went back after his wife, and I don't blame him. He had revenge on his mind, definitely. Worms crawl and worms crawl out, and worms play pinochle on your snout. Yep. The conqueror worm always wins in the end. And beetles too, not just the worms. The beetles. I've seen death beetles. They are nasty looking things. Death beetles. Yeah. They take care of the skin and the bones, whereas in the worms, and that's where you get houseflies. They are actually the larva is are maggots, and they develop into houseflies. But they raise up in dead things. That's where maggots do. And actually, in certain morgues, they will take a magnet off of a body. They will take a maggot and raise it up to a fire to see exactly how long that person was dead, because they know how long it takes for the maggot to hatch in the body. So they can count back from when it turns into a fire and determine how long you had been dead and your actual time of death. Yeah, blowfly. Yeah. What about New Orleans, the voodoo? Oh yeah, well, if you believe in voodoo, you might come back as a zombie. I want to tell you something about that, Diana. There are no real zombies. Okay, let me stress a point here. Okay, there are no real zombies as you see them in movies. Okay, forget about the movies. They will give you a drug and makes you look like you die. Then they will come dig you back up and bring you back alive, bring you back to, and then leave you in a somnambulistic state. In other words, you are a puppet. And that's how they make a zombie out of you. A real zombie is actually a reanimated corpse. And inside of it is a demon. Okay? It's a reanimated, a demonic reanimation of the dead. That's what that is. Okay? That's a zombie, and it can also be a vampire. Okay? That's what's in their body. It's not. The only person in the universe, Diana, that can bring you back from the dead is God Almighty. Nobody else. Not no voodoo priest, not Satan, not fallen angels. Nobody can bring you back from the dead except God. Okay? Don't ever forget that. It's very important. But if you see a dead body walking around, it is animated, reanimated by demonic spirits. Okay? Demons are in there moving the gears, okay? That's what's there. That's not somebody. So if you ever see Dennis Carroll as a zombie, it's not Dennis Carroll. It's the demons in Dennis Carroll's body moving around, okay? You got it? That's the way that goes. Yep, serving the rainbow. Yep. But I studied zombie. That's one of the very first things of the occult and supernatural that I began to study, along with werewolves, zombies, and how they made them, and how they bring them back, supposedly from the dead. They look like they're dead, but they're not really. They never really were dead. Okay, they just make it appear that way, and then they give you more drugs to bring you back, but they never bring you completely out, so they can keep you under their power. They make a zombie out of you. They make a robot out of you. Okay, that's what that is. And they put you into, most of the times they would put you into sugar cane fields, chopping cane all day long, you know. And salt, if they salt counteracts as an antidote to this thing, then they would keep salt away from you. They would not let you have any. They would actually have to feed you like bread or something, keep you alive, but they would give you something that had absolutely no salt in it, because salt was an antidote to this drug in you, and it would knock off the hypnotism. On my way home, a flooding warning watches that there's a radar says more rain here in the east of the valley. Oh, well, we're having a drought there for a while. This could be the end of the drought, huh? That one you won't give a hug to. I would not advise that. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But yeah, these are what goes on. That's what the vampire is too. You know, I mean, people don't understand that. This is what a real vampire is, unless it's somebody. There's different, so many different vampires, because there's people who became vampires because they wanted to be vampires, and people who are just playing vampires because they think it's cool, and they're just acting like vampires. And they drink each other's blood, and there's the human vampires. Okay, then you got people that actually become vampires through witchcraft, and then you got demonic vampires. They are like dead bodies with demons in them walking around. Those are vampires too, okay? Or you can also say they're like zombies as well. This depends. It depends on what they're doing. If there's a vampire trying to get somebody's blood or suck the life out of somebody or some junk like that, then it is a vampire. If it's not, it's a zombie. Zombies don't do that. Zombies are just robots. The things that you see eating people in the Hollywood movies, those are not zombies. They are ghouls. Ghouls eat people, mostly dead people, but they will eat living people sometimes. There you go. That's what they are. So Hollywood's got it wrong. They're not zombies, really zombies. They're ghouls. 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 We're still in the drought stage, huh? I hope it's the end of it. I hope we're coming out of it. Y'all Smith, you ain't that far from here, huh? From it all. But anyway, folks, I'm going to turn you loose here. It's Friday night, and I'm sure you got some more things to do. It's 10 o'clock at the top of the hour there. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Looking forward to Monday Morning Monsters. We will be doing not deer. What the heck are they if they're not deer? Okay. We're going to get into that, and it's going to be evil spirit time, definitely. But we're going to get into that Monday morning, 11 o'clock a.m., okay? Monday morning. Monday's bad enough now. It comes with monsters, okay? And me. I'll be there. Nothing happens. And Wednesday, be looking for Wednesday. We're going to talk Medusa. That old gal, whoa, we thought she was gone, but she's back, okay? Medusa. And that's Wednesday night for Hunting the Shadows at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see each and every single one of you there. Don't be late, okay? Try not to. And take care of yourself. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Try to stay dry, at least between the ears, okay? And don't do anything I wouldn't do. And if you do, I might be watching, okay? I might see it. You never know. You never know. I might be watching, okay? So there you go. Take care of yourselves out there. Be careful, and we will get back together again soon. Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise, okay? And as my good friend says, keep your powder dry and keep a hold on the truth, my friends, okay? Yes, hold fast to the truth. That's the main thing we got in this world, okay? Keep fighting for the truth. And don't forget to subscribe and like this channel. Pass it along. Recommend it to your friends. It wouldn't hurt them. Okay? Recommend it. Tell them to come on in and see us. We have a great time here with the Shadow Wolves. Okay? The Shadow Wolves got to howl, and we definitely do that. So I hope you have a fantastic weekend, my friends, and I will see you soon. Until then, who knows? I might even have a surprise for you this weekend. You never know. So until next time, my friends, take care of yourselves out there and keep your head on the swivel and an eye on your six. And remember, no matter where you go or what you do, I will be looking for you somewhere out there in the shadows. Hunting the Shadows YouTube podcast channel and agency. A few minutes with the word. Spooky Stuff with Dennis Carroll. Hunting the Shadows. Wednesday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Paranormal Point of View. Friday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The Road Less Traveled. Friday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. DennisWCarroll.com. DennisWCarroll@gmail.com. Patreon.com at Hunting the Shadows Podcast. Please like and please subscribe. Thank you.